Tony Grant. You all right? So, Tony Grant, head of commercial marketing for Informa Markets, based in Dubai. We go back 10 years, which is just scary, by the way. 10 years. We met back at the day at Candid Sky when we had the marketing agency. But for people watching this, people listening, can you just kind of give a little bit of an intro into why you got into marketing and how we ended up meeting?
Yeah, definitely. Dave, firstly, thanks for having us on this podcast.
Pleasure.
I've seen some amazing videos from you guys, so I'm absolutely flattered that you've asked me to join today.
Yeah, I mean, you're my go-to person for marketing and stuff. So like you were always on the list, Tony. You were always on the list. But yeah, go on. Tell us then. How did you get in? How did you jump into marketing?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go back a little bit further very quickly. I did, and this is my uni days. I did film, TV, and drama, and I absolutely loved it. It was at Lincoln, and I absolutely loved the first couple of years. In my second year, I was lucky enough to get an internship at Lincoln City Football Club. So I was doing the subject that I loved with a sport that I love, and we were producing an academy film for youth players. And anyway, we got interviewing past players and managers, including Graham Taylor, and I had 15 minutes with him, interviewing him, and I have to say, I still remember every minute of it, which is crazy. And yeah, that was fantastic. So after uni, whilst I was doing uni, I actually had an internship with ITV, and all great. It was a great company to work for, but I absolutely hated it. Hated what I was about to graduate into, or what my career would look like. So it kind of that really failed my undergrad. I didn't fail it, but I felt like a little bit of a failure. And after uni, I fell into a few jobs. I was in cosmetic surgery, if you can believe it or not. PPI, I was that guy on the end of the phone. And it was great, actually, whilst the job wasn't nice itself, but the skill set it's very impressive. I was making 200 calls a day, and I maybe closed out eight deals. It's a lot of rejection.
Yeah.
A very thick skin quite quickly, or you just don't survive. So I learned quite a lot from that. Fast forward, doing all that, I actually fell into someone showing me what search engine optimization was, and I hadn't a clue at that point in time. And I said, that's amazing. I want to learn everything about that. And my sister was actually doing marketing, her undergrad in Manchester at the time. And I started nicking her textbooks from the library, and I started reading about it. I thought, I can do this. But I actually found out, I went for job interviews. I couldn't get past the door with film, TV. It's not relevant. And then I did my master's. And this, I suppose, is where marketing really came to, as soon as I walked through the door in my master's, which was tricky to get onto actually because of my previous qualifications. Sales experience, they accepted me, but they were very tight on my academia, but I managed to do really well with it. And the reason is I'm not an academic person at all. I under exams, I just loved the subject and immersed myself in the subject. And that's where Candid Sky came in. Halfway through the course, I met Tom in Costa, and it was the best meeting I've probably had, because I had a lot of meetings to try and get an internship. I think I had about 20 that week and got kind of laughed out the door, unfortunately. And I met Tom. I thought, oh, here we go, another, and we just clicked. And yeah, he said, when can you start as a project manager for you guys, web development builds at the time. And so combining real experience with, actually, my grades just went up and up and up. I couldn't really believe how much I was learning actually in the job, which makes you think, why do the course, right? I had to get a foot in the door and put frameworks around it and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I got into marketing, was a chance encounter with a friend from football, show me what he does, and then see my sister and then go in. Right, I need money to get to do my masters because that can get me the job. And whilst Candice was fantastic. I was there 3.5 years, and just surrounded. To this day, I think the skills that I learned on the job skills.
Yeah.
So SEO, PPC, account management. To this day, that's the foundation of, I suppose, where I am today in the job that I have. Just surrounded by really talented people and a great bunch as well. That's going to be a bit of a theme with me, is the people that you surround yourself with as well. A relevant job and a relevant industry, but I learned so, especially in UX design, especially in analytics. And I think I actually said to Tom, I want to be an SEO expert. And I think I had about this is not to that department, but as soon as I started learning about it, I said, I actually, now that I understand it, I don't enjoy it. What this gave me was an opportunity to move around within reason for a job, as you know.
But it's interesting because the other side of that for us, because obviously when you started with us, that was kind of like it was kind of important for us in a way. Like, firstly, like we, as you know, we're big on emotional intelligence. That's kind of the key leading thing. And then because marketing evolves daily, weekly, monthly, you need a team of people that they have the right EQ, the right emotional intelligence. They've got a passion to learn, and that syncs very well with. And like you say, I witnessed you trying different types of skills out. And as you said, it's helpful to have that project management experience and account management experience as well, so you get like the full spread. And for me, it's brilliant to see people like yourself that 10 years ago you walked in the door kind of sky, and now you're head of commercial marketing. And I think it's interesting for other people on two levels. One is like your career trajectory and how you made the decisions, which we'll get onto in a second, the next step from kind of sky. So like how your skills progressed along that, and then also the fact that you're an expat and you live in Dubai now. That's super interesting as well for people watching. And I remember the day that you came into my office, and you were. It was kind of like a bittersweet moment, wasn't it? Because I was excited for you to move on, but then gutted that you were moving on. But as you will, as when you've got a good member of the team. But what was the key decision to say move from kind of Sky small agency to then say WorldPay in London? And I remember us having that conversation. I was like, there's one thing like the job, but then also it's a completely different environment. It's a completely different city for a start. What was the main driver in going to WorldPay in particular?
Yeah, it's a great question, and having had many accounts with Candy Sky and learning this new skill set, which was CRO at the time, where I really doubled down on and I immersed myself in, because it's the combination of UX and analytics. Now, obviously, there's way more underneath that. There's human behaviour, there's psychology, and it's got really fun, really in depth attributes and skills underneath it. But to the crux, that's how I fell into it. And to answer the question, and I remember to that day, because I was I don't know, not afraid, but I was just a bit kind of, geez, I've made this decision and it's going to be tough to tell guys. But the big draw for it was that I needed a change of environment, actually. And I mean, on a personal level, Manchester had just become a little bit stale for me. I was doing the same things. I felt like I wasn't really pushing myself. Professionally was different, because I was starting to get, leads on deals and closing deals. And I gone from not knowing at all about the marketing to that sort of level, on like the mid-level range that we were offering. But yeah, on a personal level, and then I hate to say it, but money talks, and it just offered an opportunity where that puts me on a trajectory that I just didn't expect. So that together. I was with someone at the time, but I moved cities. So that experience, I did always want to work in London, and I felt was before I moved to Manchester originally as a 21-year-old or 20-year-old, moving straight to London would have been too soon. But actually, now I was ready to go.
What was it like for you? Like, small agency culture to then large, I suppose, organisation culture. What was how was that like overnight switch, if you like? Because you've gone from like an SME to a large corporation, really, with WorldPay. Was it significantly different in terms of the culture or the pros and cons of both?
Yeah.
How was it?
Well, I remember saying the receptionist, she was lovely, and she said to me in my first month I was like a rabbit out of headlights. Every time I walked to the office to pick up my access card because I hadn't got it yet, so I had to go to the reception, and I was a bit kind of like, whoa, London, it's fast. It is fast. It's got great energy and vibes, but I hadn't settled and I didn't know everywhere. Like I was going completely wrong on things like the tube. So I'd be 10 minutes late to work because I just was a bit of a moron and couldn't read a map. But as a work culture, as I kind of bedded in, in the immediate team, so say at WorldPay I was in the digital marketing team, it wasn't too different actually, because you had your mentors, you had your PPC guys, SEO guys, designers and developers. So kind of that slotted in quite nicely. What the main difference is, I found, was just the scale's a lot. Obviously, with a large corporate, you're walking into an office that holds 5,000 people. So it's instantly different, and you have to behave in a certain way. Not a certain way is wrong, but you just do naturally, small people. But it's with agencies, I found you are by and large the executioner of something that has been already signed off somewhere. And that's not every agency. I'm making a very blanket statement there, but you've got a budget, 20 grand, guys, spread that over the year or do it in one project, but this is the end result. We've been in sort of a large corporate or in the client side, you're in the talks of the strategy, deciding who to go with, why, fighting for that budget and justifying it. And you manage wider stakeholders and relationships so much tighter and on different levels as well. So that was it. That was the main difference for me. So, and I would say at the time personally, I was quite a bullish character. Thought I knew everything. I thought I knew analytics inside and out. I thought every website that I saw was rubbish and I would make it better. And that can work sometimes, but I think, within my first week, I got told off from my director. I think that was the first conversation. And very quickly, what I had done was there was a big 3-month landing page that I had been working on. And I came in week and went, that looks awful. And I created a new one. And we actually did it live because it went live because we did actually have control on it. And luckily, it increased sales for us because it was a daily target and we could see it just, and I could go, I was like, yes, first week I'm in. And I just got, great work, but you need to let these people know a lot of hard work's coming here. So I very quickly learned that side of things. And
was that particular example? So that would have been CRO, I'm guessing. Was it the main?
Yeah.
Right. So can you explain what CRO is, just in simple terms?
Yeah. So many names, but let's conversion rate optimization. Essentially, it's experimentation for web and apps, where you're able to understand sort of your research from surveys, or you've spoken to someone on a stand or something. You collated feedback, analysed it. You come up with hypotheses. If I do X, Y, and Z, we can expect certain uplift. And you can test A/B test one against the other, the changes, and that you can see the increase, not only from a web level sort of a lead form, but actually throughout the sales pipeline. So does it marketing qualified lead? Does it become a sales qualified lead? And does it actually close and win? And the reason why I loved CRO at the time wasn't to actually prove maybe that my idea was better. That was the back in the day. Actually, and this goes. It was true at WorldPay, and it was true at Candid Sky with clients. They wanted changes and didn't know, really why. And about CRO first and foremost was it enabled us to concentrate and focus on the problem area that was actually certain, rather than resource and time on areas that there's no win-win. It's not going to change anything. Clients going to pay the same amount of money, but they're not going to get a solution. And that's where I fell in love with CRO. It's like, because I think in my career, I won in about 15 tests that I run, and then one comes through and but the beauty, when you do fail, you pause and say, right, don't spend time on design. Don't go and develop it for 2 months. So
I remember a conversation we had like back in the day. It was just as you were going, I think, to WorldPay, and we were talking about CRO, and we were talking about how it was born in the kind of retail space initially, in terms of like, and we talked about, it's the simple one of like why the bread is at the other end of Aldi or Tesco, and where you place products on a shelf in a supermarket. And I remember us looking at talking about the difference between the user journey and the conversion rate of, say, Next versus what's the one you've got to hunt around? TK Maxx.
Yeah.
So I always think it's useful when to center myself back on when I think about things like conversion optimization or CRO. I always reflect back to that conversation we had, and it is as simple as like your traffic's the footfall, as in SEO, and your signage and your price point, and even the customer service. If you get a smile, if you don't, every part of that, and then you move it online, and it's even more, I suppose, trackable, isn't it? And traceable, and the end result is some form of conversion, obviously. But when you went to WorldPay, when you moved, how long have you been in Dubai now?
This has been coming up to 6.5 years, so it's my 7th year.
Right.
I know I still haven't got a plan either, so it's great.
Well, I've got no chance in the UK of getting a tan. But so when you first went over to Dubai, was that first initial job, was that in CRO?
Yes, yeah. So it was actually the same. It was the same role, but there were same job title, but very different role. So
and was the reason going there, was it how much of it was to do with your career trajectory, and how much of it was to do with like lifestyle, I suppose, or way of living? Was it a mixture of both, or what did one lead?
Yeah, so moving to London, so this ties back to, I was thinking even then longer term, I knew when I moved to London, I would get an opportunity to work abroad. I hadn't pinpointed where or what it would be or anything. Like, I knew I wanted to have a stint abroad. This goes back to my teenage days. My dad lived and worked abroad, and we used to go in some amazing places, very lucky, some amazing places for the summer holidays. And at the time I hated it because I missed my friends and the school holidays and I couldn't do that. But actually, you go into the Kruger National Park, it's Tokyo, Hong Kong. So that always was in me, even before I went and did my masters. So I knew with London that might come, and a couple of years into, I wasn't actually looking into it. I actually was. I had a good opportunity at another company doing the same role, and they were offering a lot more money than WorldPay. And I actually said to my director at the time, I said, "Look, I have been offered more money. I've been here. I've done a good job." And he gave me, "Well, we can't actually match that, but we can give you. You're right. You do deserve something." And I actually said, "Yeah, I accept that." And then a week later, Dubai came in, and I just went back to his door, knocked on his door. Yeah, same things happened, but it's in Dubai. I'm gonna stop you there. And sorry, you see, I'm gonna stop you there. Go for it, and go for it. And that was the best piece of management of just. I was nervous to tell, just especially when I just negotiated her for a pay rise, and her words was just, "You have to do this and give it your best." And I immediately changed and just like kind of, I nearly cried, just like, thank you for understanding.
Relief. Yeah.
Relief, yeah, it was, because I felt like I was letting down a little bit, but I knew I was doing the right thing. So, you know, you build a relationship with someone like yourself and people, you don't want to let them down. And so that and yes, of course, with Dubai, you have to, let's not bury the hatchet here. Financially rewarding because of a tax-free on income, but actually it was to experience a new culture, a new way of living, new way of working, and that was a big draw for me.
Yeah. So obviously you've been there a while, so it was obviously a good decision. For people maybe, excuse me, for people maybe watching and listening to this now, that point you made that decision, right, to go. What advice would you give to people if they're in a position where they might be thinking of moving overseas to work, or say Dubai in particular? What things should they consider before they make that decision, or what things did you consider that helped that you made that move?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I have to give context here. I was 28 and single. I had a rucksack to my name, literally. So I can only speak to that experience, to be honest. And like you say, it was a case of, I think I rang up my dad and said, I'm moving to Dubai. I'm going to have to come and stay at your house for like a couple of days before my visa comes on. It literally happened. So very lucky to do that. I think, and obviously Dubai's changed now, but from my experience, again, Dubai is a wonderful place to live. It really is. It's not for everyone. It's like London. It's not for everyone either. So, but for me, I did really like it, and I wanted to give it a good go. And in the first, if you can indulge me here, in the first month, they put me up. Work put me up in a hotel, and I can only describe it as 40 towers. It was brilliant. There was all the characters. It was fantastic. And I never felt so far from home. And I didn't realise, because I was like, I'll move to Manchester to London, no problem. The first month in Dubai, I was very lonely because I didn't know anyone. I didn't know a thing. I hadn't been there before. I turned up in the middle of July, 45 degrees with my hoodie and tracksuit on. My taxi driver was looking at me going, this guy's not lasting long, because I was like, it's 2 a.m. I thought it was only hot and dead. Wow. So I was so naive, but I was so excited at the same time. So I had some chats with some coaches, and I've done some coaching in the past as well. And she advised on this wave that you go when you sort of have a big adjustment, like moving house and other areas in your life. But this was the biggest one for me, where I'd had excitement of coming and starting a new role, learning new skill sets. We'll come on to that later, but actually the dip of realization, you are on your own. You have to figure this out. You have to make sure that you're finding your flat, and the processes are so different to the UK. It's much different. It's great. It works, but it's not how it works. So you have to figure that on your own. You've got no one to turn to if it goes bad. My first place that I had, the AC wasn't working because someone hadn't paid the bill previously. And I went to the company and I said, but I'm there now and I need AC because it's 45 degrees. So in the building, it was 30 degrees. And he said, no, we need an actual signature from the person. I said, that person's living in Russia. So I had to wait 2 weeks to get the signature, a week to get AC back on. So I was like, this and other advice as well is monetary. You will have to spend straight up front. It is an investment in cost, because that was another thing. So I've got things not working with a flat. I've got no friends really. I was going out, but they're not friends, at that point in time. And all my savings had gone that I'd earned and saved, right from even delivering the newsletter on Sundays when I was 14. It had gone. Hadn't even passed go yet. Hadn't even picked up my first paycheck. So there's that expectations that I would say people don't really. And then finally, you have to get yourself out there. You have to be willing to put yourself to, unless when I look back now, I'm just like, oh God, I can't believe I did that. But you have to, because you're out on your, and what is really nice about that expat community is everyone's in the same boat. So you pass go, whereas in the UK, you tend to stick to your family commitments and you've got your friends that you've known for ages. But in Dubai, you can, a clean slate essentially of who you are, because you're all in that boat. It's really nice.
And it was in terms of, say, the marketing landscape, like say you were in the UK and obviously London, Manchester, London, and then you go to Dubai, like certainly something like CRO or SEO or something like that. Are these things seen differently overseas compared to the UK?
Yeah, so I knew, so CRO was definitely a very, very new concept. And one I knew, let's say that if I could do something on the side, SEO, PPC, no problem. It's so well established globally. And what I realized with CRO, and actually the culture here in the Middle East, more so in Asia, is get the result. Go and get the result. I don't care about your tests. If you think that's going to be it, why haven't you gone 100%? And I was like, whoa, okay, that's different. Hey, there are places in America like that as well. And then don't get me wrong, the UK, some companies are like that. But for the companies that I had been associated with, that was the big difference. And I thought, oof, okay, if you want results, then I need budget and we'll go and do a PPC campaign. Yeah, no problem. CROs, a little bit out there. Fortunately, with Informa and the company that I work for, they, because of the nature of the business and the amount of data that we've got, we had to utilize what we had, our assets. And if we increased our conversion 1% globally, that's a lot of money. So but again, British company, they understood the value of it. It's a lot harder to sell to maybe the Middle East and Asia companies as well, I would say.
And see if I can just switch topic quickly on to say AI, and certainly it's just an interesting question for you in particular. So I've thought about this with this whole AI, it's huge thing is about to land, if you like. I think it's almost landed. And how do you think that's going to impact SEO, and particularly a company like the main company Google and search engines? How do you see that from your perspective? How do you think it'll change the landscape, or how is it changing the landscape?
It's made it, well, yeah. I must say I'm no expert on this myself. I think it's just changing every day and every week. What I am worried about, and where SEO, in particular SEO, where I thought SEO had got to a place of maturity, was the smaller companies were able to compete from a tactical level by just being. My main worry with AI is those companies can't afford the specialists to really do something clever. It just blows them out of the water. So it really does shift that weighting again upwards to the bigger companies. And I think Google bought what was it, Reddit? Sorry, they bought Reddit, and I have a site on the side. We've had a golf site. I've worked with a friend since the time at uni, and overnight when they bought that, it just plummeted and practically put us, out of business. So I I really am interested to see how that goes, because I think I wasn't around at the beginning, but I think it was pretty much the same for SEO, with, get as many links as you can and get as many keywords in there.
Yeah.
So hopefully I would like to see in the next few years that start to balance out. It needs to happen. But yeah, that's sort of my feeling on that subject, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's just interesting, even just from the basic point of view of, like, some mad stat I heard. I don't know how true it is, but I kind of believe in this direction. Like, something like 80 or 90% of content in the next year is going to be AI generated.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, from an SEO point of view, like, I mean, I'm just making a new site for Is the Shoe at the minute, and I mean, it's helped me not just put the content together, but it's helped me do the SEO. It's
Yeah.
just kind of done for you. You can say, look at this page, give me the keywords for it, give me the titles, the all of that. And it's interesting to think that you know Google's job, or search engine's job, is to show you the best page on the internet for what they search for. And
Yeah.
when everyone's pumping out AI led pages, how do you differentiate between which is the best? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think with AI, it really has come with a double-edged sword, hasn't it? Because
Mm.
in my last role as head of marketing for Asia, I was at Asia, but I was also performance in the trading industry.
Yeah.
Fascinating industry, but very competitive. So great environment. And we started. I got onto chat straight away and was experimenting, and I said, we can do loads of stuff. But with that, we could do loads of stuff very quickly and execute. But the
Yeah.
reward wasn't high because everyone else is doing it. And then obviously with the shit, and I don't want to talk too much on this, but with the shift of, Microsoft versus Google,
Yeah.
they're scrambling as well. So if they're scrambling, we really don't stand a chance. So,
Yeah.
so yes, we can do more, but the reward isn't there, but equally, and this is a good. I must call Anthony out here, but with that comes some reaction. So now we're seeing video being really popular, snippets, and
Yeah.
that authentic person to person back again. So
Yeah.
actually, it's interesting how an AI automation and all amazing. So let's face it, it's incredible.
Mm.
It's bringing back like conversations like we're having, doing
Yeah.
business like so.
Yeah.
And that's even changed since chat's come out, and that's been what, a year, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting couple of years for sure. And
It is.
yeah, I haven't got a crystal ball, I'm afraid, but
I mean, I don't think anyone has.
no,
I'll ask
long
ChatGPT the answer.
long may the people to people, that more authentic.
Yeah.
There are some great videos that even I've succumbed to TikTok now. And it's just like entertaining content, but also educational.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's refreshing.
And so last question for you. So, as I said at the start, like what fascinates me is I've known you 10 years, and you've gone from almost like not quite zero, but in a way zero to head of commercial marketing in a 10-year period. And it's been, I mean, we've stayed in touch over the years, and I've found it really, I mean, as friends as well, obviously, but it's been interesting watching, like, seeing the roles you've took along the way, the decisions you've made. And that's one thing, that you have made them decisions along the way, right? And you've learned lessons and all of that kind of stuff. But in terms of if someone else is in your shoes, or they want to get into marketing, right? Or it doesn't necessarily just have to be marketing, but like, let's say that they're in a company, and they want to, kind of plan their career development out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you could give somebody that wants to think about the career in the next 10 years?
Yeah. So it's a great question, and yeah, everyone's different, of course. And for me, the one thing that I've done consistently is I've picked my boss
Mm-hmm.
over, and I'm talking like within. So I'm in marketing, but you could be in any sort of related field that you're in. You could be in sports, you could be in TV, whatever. But I've picked my boss. I've turned down much higher salaries because I just had the gut feeling that this culture's not right. And okay, let's just, for example, it was 10 grand higher, but I said no. And I've picked the boss, and I have to say, everywhere I've been, hand on heart, they've been all very different. So I've had managers who are technical, like at Candid Sky. At WorldPay, I had someone who was probably the best storyteller I've ever met in my life. So she taught me how to not just read data like this is 10% higher. What does it mean? Like to create a story and narrative. To a brilliant branding director. So all of them brilliant paid directors. So they've all had their specialisms in marketing, but also that soft. And also because when you get the manager, they push you just enough to get to the next level. And now you sort of way higher than 10 grand higher. So a little bit of patience, and I know we all want things now. I would say just if it's a couple of grand or it's not going to make too much difference, and I appreciate there are many variables when it comes to work balance and environment. Just take that into consideration, and absolutely just don't be scared to execute and fail a few times. Goodness knows I fail weekly, but I fail fast and learn from it and try and move on. Don't be afraid to give things a go. That would be my biggest advice to someone who's starting wanting a new career.
No, it's a great way to round it up. I mean, again, it's rewarding for me to see where you're at anywhere, because I'm one stop along the way in that. And it is something that will help other people. It is hard in this day and age to think about what you want to do. But actually, it's a really good way that you've just explained it there, because I think, I've witnessed it myself when hiring people, like people that have kind of jumped for salary mainly. I'm not saying their skills don't progress, but I tend to find when I've hired people that are like you, that are a bit more thoughtful about the leadership, culture, the values, what the business is about. They tend to put that first, and then a close second, money, right, and position and title. But you've made sure every step of the way that you've picked a person, and from that person you've got a skill from them, which is really interesting way to think about it. Really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, sorry, just to end on that you're right. If you're going after the salary every year and you don't get it, you're going to get demotivated. So you have to do the hard yards, don't you, to set that foundation and make yourself, indispensable. No one's indispensable, but make yourself very desirable. And if you've got those foundations in place and you're getting the skill set, it's perfect.
Yeah, so I'll finish off just by thanking you for coming on the podcast. I'd love to pop over to Dubai for a brew or a pint, but also, no, I'm really pleased for you for where you've got to in your career. I think it's super impressive. I always learn a lot from you, particularly on sales and marketing when I speak to you. But no, honestly, thanks for coming on, and I'm no doubt we'll get you on again in the future. But is there any final words you wanna sign off on?
I just want to say thanks. Always great to speak, Dave. Obviously, it's amazing. I can't believe it's been 10 plus years, and we're still talking like first time I met in coffee. So I just want to say thank you. I think a big shout out to Is This You? I'm an avid follower. I think the content that you guys have got, I think the speakers have been unbelievable. So to be part of that is amazing. So yeah, and definitely get yourself over, and we'll have that cuppa. Hey?
I'll go and try and top me tan up, but by looking at you, I'm not going to get much of a tan.
Yeah, flex off, mate.
Right, honestly, lovely to speak to you, mate, and we'll catch up soon.
Cheers, Dave. Thanks.